Dan Graziano's list of 10 big questions lingering there about these 10 big questions for purposes of this segment. Why didn't the Texans do more to improve the offensive line? Here was Nick Caserio on our show about a week or so ago talking about the rebuild, the Texans' rebuild on the offensive line.
I would say in our situation, we feel like we have a number of players that will be able to compete in the offensive line, and we have certain levels of players or certain grouping of players. You have sort of tackle-only group. You have tackles that can play guard. And I would say in Titus's case, he's proven that he can do that. On the inside part of the line, you have players that are center only, you have players that are guard only, you have players that can play all three inside spots. So what we're trying to do is build up as much depth and versatility, like legit versatility, not just on a piece of paper, you're going to pencil something in, this guy can do multiple things, all to arrive sort of at the same endpoint. Who are the 5 best guys that we feel most comfortable with? We're going to have 8 players at the game more than likely, so you're going to have your 5 starters and then your 3 backups. You're going to have a next tackle, you're going to have a next inside player, and then you're going to have an extra player. And then what do you do if you lose a tackle? Who goes to that spot? Do you put the 3rd tackle in the game? Do you move somebody from a different position? So there's different, but similar to draft, there's going to be a little bit of an ebb and flow here, and we'll get more information here as we work through the process.
Okay.
Yeah, it's inspiring words. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
I agree with everything, but none of it inspires me.
Right.
You're in a little bit of the same boat as you are with the Rockets, where if you're anticipating the Rockets not doing much, trust me, bro, on the offseason. And if there's one thing that sports fans hate, it's trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Because I like the real, the tangible. Look, I want that big, fat human being playing right guard now. Mm-hmm. But also, now, I'm not dragging the Rockets analogy out. With the Texans, the offensive line has been a sore spot now for a few years. And the trust me, bro, really loses its luster when, after multiple years, you've spent a lot of money on the offensive line and a lot of draft picks. Last year, they were one of the highest paid offensive lines in football and yet one of the worst.
Yeah.
So trust me, bro, really doesn't ring right when they've already been struggling despite spending vast resources on it.
Yeah, when you're cleaning up your own mess, it's hard to, it's hard to engender 100% trust from the fan base.
I would say at the very least, if this helps anybody feel any better, I would still rather have this question more so than really the same question that Dan Graziano asks of the Steelers, which is, why didn't the Steelers take quarterback more seriously this offseason? Because if you're a Steelers fan, I mean, it's multiple years now where it looks like the Steelers are just cool being a 500 football team. And like, hey, look at this. We never have a losing season. All right, but like we've been rolling with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and now maybe Mason Rudolph. Like, what the hell are we actually doing at quarterback?
So you're saying if the Texans had just run it back with the group they had last year, that might be an even bigger question in a Graziano article like this than the questions about the stuff that they did actually ran that group back. Like, you ran back the group that 2 years in is getting worse and allowing C.J. Stroud to get hit 52 times.
I think the big thing about the Texans' offensive line is that they did part one of fixing it, which was getting rid of guys that they either thought were overpaid or not the right types of guys just not good, whatever it might be. And the rebuild hasn't been as aggressive or as easy to grasp as we want it to be, and it's uncomfortable because it really is. Just like you've got a brand new offensive coordinator. We have no idea if he'll actually be a good offensive coordinator or not. And then you've got an offensive line that if Nick Caley is a good offensive coordinator, just by virtue of understanding the run game and knowing how to coach the run game, then that offensive line will look a lot better. And then the run game helps the pass protection, et cetera, et cetera. We just don't know right now. It's just a huge question mark.
Here was, if you're wondering how C.J. Stroud is feeling about the offensive line, or at least was feeling back in mid-late April when the team assembled at the stadium to begin off-season workouts. Here was C.J. Stroud asked, are you surprised by the moves that were made on the offensive line?
I mean, that's something I feel, is not my pay grade. It's just just a quarterback. But at the same time, you build relationships with guys, and your LT, of course, who I know you're talking about, and Shaq. Those are two of my best friends. So that I've come into the league with. So yeah, it hurts. You know what I mean? Our front office knows that, and they know how I felt about it. Really understand, and I'm not against it at all. I totally think that we're heading to the right side of things. And I think something I learned about Nick is that he has a plan. No matter what happens, he always has something up his sleeve. So of course sometimes we don't know what that is, and but you just have to have trust, and that's something that we actually talked about today, having blind trust and having earned trust. And for Nick, I mean, he's gained my trust in both areas. So I'm excited, but I'm always going to be best friends with those guys and rooting them on, and I still talk to them daily. So.
He conspicuously left out Kenyon Green in that little part of the discussion. It would have been even better if he had said something like Laramie Tunsil and Shaq Mason, those are two of my best friends. And, I think Kenyon he can continue to develop and maybe be good for us this year.
He made the distinction that he's not one of my best friends.
He's not gone? He's here? Oh. He's not here anymore? I didn't even – okay. All right.
Noticed. Wonder why C.J. Gardner-Johnson was here. Okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
I do honestly, I thought CJ did a really good job of being transparent in that, there's a personal side to this, but that also now he does make more money than Nick Caserio. So it's not above his pay grade.
Metaphorical pay grade.
It's above him on the organizational chart.
There you go.
Which is flat, CJ. Mm-hmm. Flat organization. Remember that was the big thing for a while.
Flat organizational structure, baby. Yeah, I remember.
But I thought I thought he walked that tightrope pretty well. As a young NFL player, we've talked about this in the past. Yeah, there's going to learn that. Okay, sometimes your best buds and maybe guys that you think are really good football players, they're going to be gone, and you just got to keep moving on. That's life in the NFL.
It's going to be here's the thing, and CJ, you're going to be a big reason for that because you're about to get paid in the next year or so. There's going to be guys you have to watch go that you're friends with that are leaving for non-performance reasons. They're leaving because the team doesn't have enough money. They're actually good players, but you can't keep everybody. And CJ knows that. CJ says that his end-of-year press conference, hey, man, I know it's going to be a different team next year. But that is the first cut that I've heard him, that I can remember him talking about just how close, like watching friends leave, that kind of thing.
Yeah.